The story begins deep inside a dense forest, where a man is running frantically, desperate to find a way out. But the forest is so thick and endless that no path seems to lead outside. He keeps moving forward, using the sun as his guide. Yet now, the sun is slowly setting, and darkness begins to creep in. Still, the man refuses to stop. After running for what feels like forever, he suddenly comes across a strange signboard. On it, the words "Point of No Return" are written, along with the number 108. Seeing this, his fear grows even stronger. As night falls, the forest grows eerily silent and heavy with dread. Suddenly, all the birds in the trees take flight at once, leaving the man completely alone. What shocks him most is that, despite running for miles, he hasn't encountered a single wild animal. It's as if the forest itself is hiding from something terrifying. Driven by fear, the man runs even faster. Hours pass, but when he finally stops to catch his breath, despair floods his face. He's standing right in front of the same signboard, 108 Point of No Return. Realization strikes him. No matter how far he runs, there is no escaping this forest. Now desperate, he looks for a place to hide, but finds none. With no other option, he climbs up a tree. But suddenly, the branch beneath him snaps, and he falls from a great height, crashing to the ground. Badly injured, he lies there in pain. Just before he loses consciousness, the ground begins to tremble, and strange growling noises echo around him. His breathing quickens in terror. Then, out of nowhere, something grabs him and drags him away. Who or what took him remains unseen. All we hear are his blood-curdling screams. 6 days later, the scene shifts to the city. We are introduced to Mina, a young woman working at a bird shop. One day, her boss asks her to deliver a golden parrot to a remote location far from the city. Mina agrees and sets off on her journey, using her phone to navigate. As she drives out of the city, she notices a board filled with dozens of missing person posters. Clearly, many people have vanished in that area. But Mina pays little attention and continues onward. Taking a shortcut, she decides to pass through the forest so she can deliver the parrot faster. Unknowingly, she has entered the very same forest where the man disappeared earlier. Soon, Mina realizes she's trapped. Checking her phone, she sees there's no signal, and even her car's radio has gone silent. Panicking, she decides to turn back, but no path leads out. Her car suddenly breaks down. Frustrated, she steps out, only to notice the same signboard, Point of No Return. Confused and scared, Mina grabs the parrot's cage and starts walking, hoping to find help. But the forest offers no sign of life, no human presence at all. When she returns to the spot where she left her car, it's gone. Shocked, she wonders if she has wandered into another part of the forest that looks identical, since every corner of the place feels the same. Darkness closes in. Once again, birds flee from the trees in a frenzy, and the ground trembles beneath her feet. Mina feels she's not alone. In the distance, she sees a shadow. Thinking it's someone who can help, she chases after it only to find no one there. Suddenly, an old woman comes running past her. Mina follows, begging for help, but the woman doesn't stop. After a while, the old woman vanishes too. Searching for her, Mina stumbles upon a large, strange-looking room deep within the forest. The same old woman appears at the doorway and yells, "If you want to stay alive, get inside now." Without hesitation, Mina rushes in. The woman locks the gate behind them. Inside, Mina notices a bizarre chamber with a massive mirror on the wall. Along with the old woman, there are two other people present, a girl named Kiara and a boy named Daniel. Terrified, Mina demands to know where she is. The old woman introduces herself as Medlin and explains, "This place is called the Cove." She quickly warns, "There's no time for questions. Stand with us in front of the mirror. Someone is coming to watch us." Confused, Mina asks, "Who's coming? Who's watching us?" But Medlin refuses to answer. Suddenly, strange noises echo from outside. Shaken, Mina asks Kiara, "What's making those sounds?" Kiara looks at her grimly and replies, "We call them the Watchers." On the other side of the mirror, something is watching them. Yet no one inside the room can see what it is. The old woman, Medlin, explains that these beings, called the Watchers, come every night after sunset. They silently observe until the sun rises again. Soon, strange noises echo from beyond the mirror. Startled, Mina asks, "What is that sound?" Medlin answers, "The Watchers are pleased by your arrival. They're clapping for you." Mina is completely shaken and confused. She wants nothing more than to escape this place. But the truth is unsettling. Neither she nor anyone else here has ever actually seen the Watchers. The night finally passes, and at sunrise, they all leave the chamber. Medlin explains that the Watchers only come out at night. During the day, she says, "We are free to move through the forest." All through the night, Mina had been waiting for dawn, restless and desperate to find a way out of the forest. As soon as daylight breaks, she begins searching for an exit. Seeing this, Medlin stops the others from interfering. She seems certain that Mina won't succeed and will eventually return. Before letting her go, Medlin warns, "This decision of yours is unwise. There is no way out of this forest. Every evening, we must return to the cove. If you fail to return before dark, you will lose your life." But Mina refuses to listen. Holding the golden parrot close, she pushes forward in determination. Soon, she comes across the same sign again, point of no return. 10:08. Fear grips her, but she doesn't give up. Using the sun as her guide, she keeps walking in its direction. Yet her efforts are futile. The forest does not end. Instead, she suddenly finds herself at the edge of a high cliff. From the top, all she can see is an endless sea of jungle stretching in every direction. Hopeless, she collapses to the ground. At that moment, a hand touches her shoulder. Startled, she turns and finds Medlin standing there. Calmly, the old woman tells her, "You're not the only one who tried to escape. We all did once and failed. That's why we stayed. There is no way out." Medlin then takes Mina deeper into the forest. As they walk, she says, "This jungle is not just a place. It's a hunter, and we are its prey. If you wish to survive, you must stay with us." She shows Mina several point-of-no-return signboards scattered around the forest. They are placed in a perfect circle, and in the very center lies their chamber. These boards are half a day's distance from our cove. Beyond them, returning is impossible. If you see one, never ignore it. When Mina asks who put the signs there, Medlin replies, "A professor made them, but no one has ever actually seen him." That night, they all return to the cove. As usual, the Watchers arrive. But this time, Kiara dances in front of the mirror. Laughing, she says, "They like this." It wasn't that they were forced to stand motionless every night. The group was free to do as they wished, as long as they never turned their backs to the mirror. Doing so would enrage the Watchers beyond imagination. Night brought the threat of the Watchers. But even in daylight, survival was not easy. Every day, they had to venture into the jungle to hunt for food in order to stay alive. The next morning, Kiara and Mina go out together in search of food. While walking, Mina asks, "What do these Watchers really want?" Kiara admits, "I don't know for sure." But Medlin says, "They observe us, study us. The only thing we know is this. If we ever see them, our minds will break, because their true form is monstrous." Kiara then shows Mina a large pit hidden in the forest. "There are many of these," she explains. "The Watchers live in these pits during the day. At night, they crawl out. The sunlight burns their skin, which is why they never appear before sunset." As they walk, Kiara shares her own story. "I came here 5 months ago with my husband. We've been trapped ever since. 6 days ago, he went into the forest searching for a way out. I believe he will return one day and take us all to safety." But here, a chilling truth is revealed. Her husband was none other than the same man we saw in the beginning, the one who ran desperately through the forest, only to be dragged away into the darkness. He is already dead. With heavy hearts, the two women return to the cove. That night, Medlin finally tells Mina about the 3 rules of survival in this cursed forest. Medlin finally revealed the 3 rules of survival to Mina. Never open the door at night. Never turn your back to the mirror. Never go near the pits during the day. Always stay in the light. As long as you follow these rules, Medlin warned, you will stay alive. But Mina did not trust her words. That night, curiosity consumed her. She pressed her ear against the mirror, trying to hear the Watchers, but nothing came. This made her doubt Medlin even more. Thinking it was all fake, Mina broke the rules. She lay down with her back facing the mirror. The Watchers grew furious. They began pounding violently against the glass. The sound woke Medlin, who rushed to Mina's side and shouted at her to stand facing the mirror. Only then did the Watchers' rage finally calm. It became clear the Watchers considered it an insult when humans turned their backs on them. The night somehow passed. The next morning, Mina went hunting with Daniel. Along the way, she asked him, "Have you ever actually seen a Watcher?" Daniel shook his head. "No. And those who do, never survive." Mina insisted, "I think all of this is just Medlin's stories to trap us here. We should check the pits. Maybe we'll find a way out." Daniel, worn out and desperate to escape, agreed. Together, they reached one of the pits. Mina tied herself to a rope, while Daniel held the other end from above. As she descended into the darkness, Mina found piles of human belongings, proof of the countless victims who had fallen to the Watchers. She collected what she could, bags, clothes, even a bicycle and a camera. Daniel hauled everything up, one piece at a time. Finally, it was Mina's turn to climb out. But before Daniel could throw the rope down again, she heard movement. Something else was in the pit. Her heart raced. She shouted for Daniel to hurry. A pale hand reached out from the shadows, a Watcher. But sunlight poured in from above. When the creature's skin touched the light, it began to burn. Daniel quickly lowered the rope. Mina grabbed it and scrambled out just in time. Shaken and terrified, They carried the loot back to the safe house. Medlin confronted them immediately. "Where did you get this?" They lied, saying they had found it scattered in the jungle. But Medlin, who had survived here for years, knew better. "You went into the pit, didn't you? Tell me, what did you see inside?" Mina stayed silent. That night, they were thrilled. They had the camera. Daniel managed to connect it to a TV. Soon, they would finally see the Watchers. Medlin warned them again. "This is a mistake. Stop now." But they ignored her. As night fell, they sat waiting. Hours passed. No Watchers appeared. Then suddenly, a knock on the door. They turned to the TV screen. Human legs stood outside. And then, a familiar voice. It was Kiara's husband, calling out, begging her to open the door. Kiara's heart leapt. She was convinced her husband had returned, having found a way out. She rushed to unlock the door, but Medlin blocked her. "That is not your husband," she warned. "No human can reach this place at night." Kiara refused to believe her. Medlin urged her to test him. Ask something only he would know. Kiara did. She asked about a book, something only her real husband could answer. The figure outside stayed silent. It was no man. It was a Watcher. When they refused to open the door, the creature smashed their hidden camera in fury. That's when they realized the Watchers could disguise themselves as humans. Enraged, the Watchers pounded the mirror so hard, a deep crack split across its surface. Acting quickly, Medlin lined everyone up, facing the glass. The Watchers eventually calmed down and retreated. Later, Mina confessed to Medlin that they had stolen the items from the pit. Furious, Medlin scolded them. "You have broken the second rule as well." At sunrise, she carried all the stolen items back to the pit and threw them in, trying to ease the Watchers' anger. But it was too late. Strange, terrifying things began happening in the forest. The one most affected was Daniel. He started changing, his behavior twisting, his mind cracking little by little. Daniel's anger kept rising. On the other side, Kiara, who once held hope that her husband was alive and would come rescue her, now realized the bitter truth. He was never coming back. Her spirit broke completely. With no reason left to live, she decided to end her life by jumping into one of the Watchers' pits. Just as she was about to leap, Mina rushed in and pulled her back, saving her. Meanwhile, Daniel began staring strangely at Medlin. His frustration snapped. He tied Medlin to a tree in rage. "I will no longer follow this old woman's rules," he shouted. "From now on, only my word will be obeyed here." Night was falling fast. Daniel dragged Kiara with him and locked themselves inside the safe room, leaving Mina and Medlin outside, exposed to the Watchers. The two women banged on the door, pleading desperately, "Please, Daniel, open the door." But he refused. Darkness spread across the forest. The time of the Watchers had come. With no other choice, Mina and Medlin hid under a thick tree, trembling. Soon, low growls echoed through the night. The Watchers had emerged. For the very first time, Mina and the audience caught a glimpse of them. Tall, thin, terrifying figures crawling out of their pits, moving toward the safe house to observe the humans. When they noticed that Mina and Medlin were missing, the creatures prowled into the jungle to hunt them down. The moment the Watchers wandered far, Mina and Medlin seized the chance. Running back to the safe room, crying and begging, they pleaded again at the door. This time, Daniel's heart softened. He opened it. Inside, Medlin lashed out at him in fury, then forced everyone to stand in front of the mirror once more. She finally spoke the truth about the Watchers. "We have broken too many rules," she warned. "I don't think they will forgive us this time. But before that, you must know who they really are." She revealed that when she had first arrived here, she had seen something shocking. Her own duplicate. A Watcher had taken her form. Only its eyes and hair had been imperfect. Mina asked, "What are these Watchers, really?" Medlin explained. "Long ago, they were not monsters. They were fairies, winged magical beings who once lived among humans. But over time, humans grew fearful of their powers. They decided to destroy them. The fairies were fewer in number and could not fight back, so humans trapped them in a vast pit deep in this forest, cursed to remain there for eternity. For centuries, they stayed imprisoned underground, but slowly, they dug tunnels and found their way out. By then, centuries beneath the earth had taken their wings, their magic, and left them vulnerable to sunlight. Yet they retained one ability, the power to change form. Daniel asked, "But what do they want from us? Why do they watch us every night?" Medlin answered, "They want to live among humans again, but in their true form, they cannot. That's why they keep us here, to study us, to copy our forms, to learn how to behave like us. Only then can they walk among mankind unnoticed." Before she could say more, the Watchers returned. Discovering Mina and Medlin back inside, their rage exploded. They began smashing against the door with inhuman force. The four survivors dragged a table against the entrance, but it wouldn't hold for long. The Watchers were too strong. Death loomed before their eyes. Then, in the chaos, they noticed something. The carpet had shifted when they pushed the table. Beneath it was a hidden iron gate. They flung it open and found a huge underground bunker. Quickly, they climbed inside and sealed the gate shut above them. Confused and shaken, they looked around. The bunker was fully equipped, food for thousands of days, supplies, and even a computer system. Mina, puzzled, switched it on. The files revealed a shocking truth. This entire place had been built by Professor Martin. He had known about the Watchers all along. He had constructed the bunker to secretly study them. By luring workers here with money, he would leave them in the safe house at night while hiding himself below. And when the Watchers came, those workers became their prey. In one video log, Professor Martin spoke directly to the camera. During my research, I discovered something extraordinary. Among all the fairies, one was different. She could survive in the sunlight. She once copied a little girl so perfectly, no one could tell the difference. And unlike the others, she did not kill me. She was kind. The professor then turned the camera. Inside a cage, that little girl was locked away. A Watcher disguised so perfectly, no one would have guessed. The recording ended, leaving the survivors horrified about what kind of experiments Professor Martin had planned for her. Each of the professor's video logs revealed something new, but Mina only wanted to know one thing: what happened in the end. So, she played the very last recording. In it, Professor Martin appeared, his face weary. He confessed that he was about to kill both himself and the fairy. Before doing so, he left behind one last piece of guidance for anyone trapped in this cursed forest. At dusk, follow the direction the birds fly. That is the only way out of here. And if you do escape, go to the university and destroy all of my research. I made a terrible mistake by coming here. The message ended with 2 gunshots. From the sound, they realized, first he had killed the fairy, then himself. That night, for the first time in weeks, the 4 survivors felt a fragile happiness. They had finally found a way out. The next morning, they climbed out of the bunker. To their horror, the Watchers had completely destroyed the safe house. They knew they had no choice. Tonight, without shelter, they would not survive. They had to escape now. The birds Professor spoke of would only fly in the evening, but they could not wait until dark. So Mina released her parrot. The little bird took flight, and in that same direction, they began their journey. On the way, they stumbled upon a grave. Medlin stopped. Looking at it, she spoke softly. There was a time when these beings lived among humans, but humans betrayed them, tortured them, and forced them into the forests. We left them behind. Hours passed as they pressed on, until at last they reached a river. There, to their amazement, was Professor Martin's boat. Their relief was overwhelming, but night was falling. The time of the Watchers had come. As they rushed to the boat, a voice called out from behind. They turned, and to their shock, it was Kiara's husband, wounded and begging for help. Everyone else scrambled aboard, but Daniel ran back to drag the man toward safety. Then, before their eyes, horror unfolded. The figure of Kiara's husband shifted. It was not a man at all. It was a Watcher. And as they watched helplessly, it killed Daniel and then took his form. The others could do nothing. Their only solace, they knew Watchers could not cross water. They pushed off and drifted across the river to safety, reaching the city at last. But the true twist was yet to come. Once in the city, the 3 survivors parted ways. Days later, Mina went to the university, determined to fulfill the professor's dying wish to erase all his research. Before deleting the files, she found an old tape recorder. On it was a secret long buried. The recording explained that thousands of years ago, when humans and fairies lived together, they even intermarried. Their children, half human, half fairy, were called halflings. These halflings were gifted with a terrifying ability. They could change form so perfectly, they could even take the place of the dead. The professor believed that when humans imprisoned the fairies underground, the halflings escaped and lived among mankind, hidden, disguised, perhaps even to this day. Searching further in his office, Mina stumbled upon photographs that shook her to her core. In one picture, standing beside Professor Martin, was Medlin. Medlin was his wife. Shaken, Mina realized that the Medlin they had traveled with in the forest had never revealed this truth. Because she was not human at all, she was a shape-shifting fairy. Mina dug deeper. She discovered that Professor Martin's real wife had died years earlier of cancer. When Mina told Kiara this revelation, Kiara was stunned. Then who was the Medlin we met in the forest? Mina answered slowly. I think I understand. The professor was heartbroken after his wife's death. When he discovered the shape-shifting fairies, he captured one, the same fairy who had once taken the form of a perfect little girl. He showed her his wife's photograph and forced her to become Medlin. That fairy was different from the rest. She could survive in daylight. She was the professor's way of bringing his wife back. Mina added, I've called Medlin here. Somehow, we must send her back to the forest. Just then, a car pulled up outside. When the door opened, Mina froze in shock. It was Kiara, which meant the Kiara who had been with her all this time was Medlin in disguise. The real Kiara walked in, only for Medlin to immediately change form again. this time into Kiara's husband. She struck Kiara unconscious. Mina confronted her. "What do you want from us, Medlin?" Medlin's eyes burned with rage. "I am not like the others. My own kind shunned me. Since childhood, they mocked me, cast me out because I was different. I was alone in that forest. I never belonged there. All I wanted was to escape, to live among humans." She wanted to live peacefully with everyone. But one day, the professor came into the forest. He locked me inside a cage and told me that if I took the form of his wife, he would help me escape from the forest. I agreed to his deal. The professor taught me everything about Madeline, but later that treacherous professor tried to kill me. Before he could succeed, I killed him instead. You humans were never trustworthy, and you never will be. Now that you know my truth, you must also die. After killing you, I will live among humans in your form. Saying this, Madeline transformed into Mina's appearance and began strangling her. That's when Mina told Madeline, "Didn't the professor ever tell you why you're able to walk out in the daylight? The truth is, you are a hybrid half-human and half-fae. That's why you can exist in both worlds, among humans as well as the fae. I know how it feels to live in loneliness, but you're not the only halfling. There are others like you, living in different forms among humans." Hearing this truth, Madeline's body suddenly began shifting into her real form. Within moments, her wings emerged, and she flew away, leaving Mina behind. Weeks later, we see Mina living with her sister. She tells her sister that perhaps the fairy is still following her. Her sister comforts her, saying, "Don't worry, that's just your imagination." But in the final scene, we see a little girl standing outside Mina's house. That girl was none other than Madeline, now living in their world in a new form. And that brings this chilling story to an end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Let's see if we can reach 100 likes on this one. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more such mysterious and thrilling stories.